into Dragon Ball Super Dope. My name is Kyle. Thanks for checking us out. I am joined today by Raysean and Hayden. How are you gentlemen doing?
Good.
Great. Good, great, grand, wonderful.
I am doing fine. Great.
Beauty.
Wonderful.
Beauty.
Excellent. Happy.
We just chopped it up on the pre-show Patreon for the last 40 minutes talking about all sorts of
Glad to be black.
Glad to be black. I mean, we did talk about that in the Patreon pre-show as well. I feel like we are all glad to be black. But what I wanted to do, we did an episode yesterday that should probably already be out. I'm not really sure how the release order is going to go here. But we talked about a lot of mishmash of Dragon Ball news with Hayden and my buddy Noah, namely like the Dragon Ball amusement park thing that's going to be happening, and you know, some shitty things people have done in the wake of Akira Toriyama's death, and what does indefinite mean in terms of a manga hiatus, you bunch of fucking clout chasing assholes. That's not what we're going to talk about today. We are going to do a full-on 103 chapter review, chapter 103 for Dragon Ball Super, Inheriting the Future. Now, Raysean and me talked on the phone yesterday before we recorded that episode. Ray wasn't there, but I talked to Raysean and he was like, so he asked me a question that we're going to get to toward the end of the chapter review. We're all going to take our turn answering this question. But man, you fucked my brain up real bad, bro. And I've been thinking about it all day, pretty much since then. So a little bit more than 24 hours now. You said, so how do you feel if that's really it? That's really the last Dragon Ball chapter. How do you feel? And I was like, how do I feel about this potentially as an ending? And like a lot of shit just clicked into place for me in terms of like, you know, the realization of some of the stuff that went into this chapter. And I do think it's a really beautiful chapter. But before we answer that questions for each other, I do want to do the full deep dive. Before we do the deep dive, what you guys think? Raysean, you like it? A thumbs up, thumbs down?
I thought it was a good chapter. I liked it. It was a fun read. It was interesting to see a different character kind of get more of the spotlight, and then just kind of seeing the I can't think of the word I want to say, but basically something we've been wanting to see from the beginning kind of coming to us at the end. Something from fruition. Basically hearing
something
all
the fruition that fans have been talking about for a really long time.
Yes.
Agreed. Hayden, thumbs up, thumbs down?
I love the chapter, honestly. I was reading it prior to all this, and as I was it's a really good one. It's a fun one, and I know we always talk, I feel like every time I come on, it's like it's a fun chapter, but this is a genuinely fun chapter. Just, it's comedic, it's fun, this is like the embodiment of a Dragon Ball thing itself, in my opinion.
I mean, it's definitely high on the Dragon Ball energy meter, you know, lots of classic feeling kind of stuff. And it is, you know, fitting that it's, you know, potentially, it's probably not. But if this were to be Dragon Ball's last chapter, I think it is emblematic of a lot of the things that have made Dragon Ball fun for fans throughout the last 40 years. All of the action sequences, some of the comedic beats, all of the different relationships between so many different characters. It's all sometimes the ambiguity with some of what they're trying to communicate in the story, where they just kind of give you a visual versus like full on, hey, this is what's happening right now. Like there's some of that in this chapter. This chapter is a good, I think, representation of Dragon Ball across the board. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm probably looking at it a little, you know, rose colored glasses as well, just because the death of Toriyama is so recent, and to know this is the last one that he worked on, I'm sure it's kind of coloring my perspective a little bit. But even taking that into consideration, I still think it is a very good chapter, very fun, and gave a lot of people what they wanted in a lot of different respects. So we're going to go through some of these plot beats here, just kind of like the big ideas. I mean, I want to see what you guys think on some of these things, but it's sort of like the big broad strokes for this chapter. We pick up with the Goku versus Gohan fight, and it continues to be an impressive spectacle, and it's cool to see them go all out in their mastered fucking strongest forms. But a lot of people think Gohan won this fight because he managed to get a hit in on Mastered Ultra Instinct, and Goku very soon after is just like, that's cool, man. I'm glad that I have people to leave the world to protect the world someday, which inheriting the future, that what felt like a little
That's the
nod, a little wink, to like, I'm glad I can hand this off to somebody. The title of the chapter this month is It Couldn't Have Been on Purpose. Like they had, well, I guess it must have been on purpose is what I mean to say. I don't know. Goku versus Gohan fight. I don't really put much stock into who is stronger as a character because honestly, who the fuck cares? I think that's a dumb way to think about Dragon Ball. But Goku versus Gohan, what do you guys think?
Well, I don't think that fight was particularly showing that Gohan was faster. I mean, was stronger. I think that fight just basically showed that, he had a lot of potential in that. And the fact that what he did was very impressive because for the longest, when they were fighting, Vegeta was like, oh, so basically Ultra Instinct's just going to kind of bail him out that whole fight. So the fact that he actually took something that almost every Saiyan has had a moment with this like rage form or rage power that comes out of nowhere, been able to take that power and actually be able to control it and be able to actually surpass like his speed of Ultra Instinct for that moment was pretty cool. I don't think either of them was going fully all out, to be honest with you. So I don't think you could honestly give a full like who's stronger. Oh, I would pray he's not stronger than Goku because if he is, yeah, Black Frieda's about to wreck these motherfuckers. like Jesus. So I just want to end with that. But I thought it was a pretty cool fight. I liked just how Gohan was able to like impress everybody. This character, like that, he somewhat impressed people in the Tournament of Power. But like this moment, they were like, "Oh shit!" Like we even like consider him to like, you think he could be a god of destruction? But like everybody, like, he's too serious. He can never do the job. And I do like that you do get to see Beerus actually see those distinctions in people who could be gods of destruction. And I wonder what his opinion of like Goku and Vegeta, because I'm at the standpoint where I'm thinking Vegeta isn't the person who could do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think based off of some things said in this chapter, I do think that they're kind of leaning a little bit toward potentially Broly, but I don't think it's clear cut one way or the other. I think it's been like you got that great training from Beerus at the end of the Granola arc, right? With the Hakai shit, doing the logs over the waterfall. Remember that chapter?
Yeah, with Vegeta.
Yeah, and I think back then it was very much like, oh, he's training to be the next god of destruction, and it doesn't feel like that because just the fact that he's like asking around, like, do you think he's a suitable candidate, Lord Beerus? Nah, he's too straight laced or whatever the heck he said. He's too serious. He wouldn't, embrace destruction the way that a person like me would. I don't know. I think Goku versus Gohan was. I feel like it was meant to placate Gohan fans a little bit. I don't want to talk shit on Gohan fans. That's you, Hayden. Aren't you a big Gohan fan? What did you think of Goku versus Gohan?
This future Gohan's my first.
Oh, you have a thing for one-armed people. I forgot. Yeah. What did you think of this fight, though?
Honestly, the fight was really cool. I'm looking through it again for another time, and it is evident that Goku isn't going all in. At least I think it is, because halfway, like early on to the fight, you see Goku do the like boom kick right behind him, and when Gohan gets kicked across, and he starts doing all the hits and stuff like that. It doesn't show any damage to Gohan afterwards, showcasing that Goku's just outspeeding him and outdoing him, not that he's actually beating him. The only issue I really have is I'm not a fan of the Beast's strength, and I think I've always talked about that, is I don't like that Gohan goes from, I guess, mediocre to above it. I'm hoping, and I even told Kyle this, is I feel like it is set up that Gohan is stronger than Goku. I think I did tell you. Didn't I tell you that, Kyle?
I don't fucking remember, dude. Lots of people tell me lots of things.
What do you mean he goes from like mediocre to like okay?
Like Ultimate Gohan. Like Ultimate Gohan is like he's somewhat comparable to other things, but he's not truly near the level of what Goku and Vegeta can do. Then he goes to Beast, which basically sends him, it's like such a massive jump, and it's like it's like base Goku to Super Saiyan Goku, and that kind of jump is just like an astronomical jump that puts him on par with the strongest things or above the strongest things that are known at the moment.
Well, he's kind of always had that jump though. Every time, like
he has, but at least some of them, like the biggest one is Super Saiyan 2. He had the anger moment that unlocked it. That one I'm okay with because that's Super Saiyan. They got all the rage stuff, and that's fine. But it still wasn't such an like astronomical one. Then the Ultimate Gohan was helped by Elder Kai, which was astronomical, but he had an outward help. I feel like B says just I'm angry, raw.
They just gave it to us because of the fans. But see, also, if you go from like Super, from like the first time they fought before the tournament, he did like hint that he was looking for power that was like akin to like not going the route they went, but his own route. So I mean, this is if you're going from that instinct, I mean, it's kind of it has that correlation right there.
It does. If there's nothing wrong. I wish if it was the case, I wish it was at least possibly hinted at as opposed to the well, here's Beast. Yeah,
I mean, but I've always felt like they all had like Beast moments, like that uncontrollable power. But he just like figured out how to control. I mean, like Broly, like when he's going crazy, like that power that he just been able to learn how to control that power. But you can go ahead, Cal.
Yeah, so there will be, what do we say? Boosted my chi to the point where I'm about to snap while still maintaining control. Like, this is it. This is the thing that has been theorized by fans since, you know, the 1989 when Gohan first had his first anger freak out when he headbutts Raditz in the fucking stomach. It's the fan question was like, imagine if he could get a handle on that. Imagine if he could. So he's always been the strongest because that's always been a thing he's been able to do. So if he could just figure out how to do it, he'd be one of the strongest. And now that's, I mean, literally that reasoning is exactly what it was. Like, this felt like, I felt like this was a less important moment for Gohan than it was for Gohan fans. If that makes any sense, because Gohan fans are like, see, I told you, if he could just get the thing correct, if he could just learn how to harness it, and now look, he did it. Now look what he is, you know. And that's a cool. I don't know. I don't want to say that has a sense of finality to it, but if you look at it from a certain perspective, there is a sense of finality to where Gohan started as a character and where he is now as a character. But yeah, I don't think Goku or Gohan won. This is obviously a sparring match. People need to keep in mind that they are not fighting to the death. If they did, I'm still giving it to Goku, even if Gohan has more power, just because Goku is infinitely more battle experienced and has so much more in terms of technique. But singular talent all his own. That's the other thing I want to talk about Gohan. And you guys kind of just referenced it a moment ago. It's not like a Super Saiyan power, but it is like his own unique hybrid Saiyan anger management issue sorted out into a huge power up. So it definitely is a singular thing all on its own. I did kind of want to, we talked about this last month in the chapter review too, the Broly and Gohan comparisons, and the fact that the next part of the chapter is the Broly and Gohan fight. Pretty fucking cool. What say you, Raysean?
I just like that they've actually kind of had him do that, and it's kind of like a stepping stone to like what Broly needed to do. And I like the fact that like Goku saw that within a fight, kind of looks over at Broly and like see how he's like watching the fight, and he's like, you know what? Let me bow out of this real quick. Let me let you fight Broly, because if you can show him, or if he can like see something in y'all fight, he can learn how to fucking master the same shit. Because it's basically that same thing. Which soon as Broly goes insane, they like, is he losing that? Like, is he about to go insane? So he's basically taking that power and learning how to control it. So
yeah, I mean, and how fast it clicks with him too is like another sort of like Broly is, I don't know if prodigy is the right word, but maybe it is. I feel like Frieza is a fighting prodigy. I think you could consider Vegeta a prodigy in a lot of ways. Goku, I mean, this is a whole show full of prodigies. My point is, he saw one person do it one time, and he was able to like mimic it and figure it out for himself. And be like, oh, that guy had a similar problem to what I had going on for the last however long. Oh, that's how he thinks about it when he does it. Okay, and boom, mastered Super Saiyan for him. That was very nice. And I don't know, this chapter is so, there's so much in it. Like they do a lot of things in this chapter, but so many of them are very, very fast, and they're only for a couple pages. And this Broly Gohan fight, I felt like did not last long enough for me. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 pages tops. I don't know. Hayden, what do you think? Did you get a Broly boner again?
Always. But yeah, it really was a cool fight. Like I really do like this whole thing of the parallels of it with him learning the Gohan does this. Let me try it and see if it worked, and him going Super Saiyan. It's a really cool thing, and it's also the next generation learning how the fighting stuff is really cool in that too. I know Broly's the same age as him, but he's also being trained by them, so he's part of the next generation, and it's cool to see that itself. And it's fun to watch Super Saiyan Broly go in his control. We still need to see him have his full power form, which now I'm hoping when a Dragon Ball comes back, we start seeing more of that because that'll put him all sorts of all over the place. But it's a really cool miniature fight.
I like that you said that, Hayden, that Broly is the same age as them, but he does look younger than them. I don't know if they trying to placate on him being kind of in that younger generation, but he does look a little younger than them. If that's just me, or he does seem a lot younger than them.
Well, it's a mannerisms, because remember, he was on the planet Vampa with Paragus, and so I think it was in the Broly movie, they said Broly's a man, but he has the mentality of a child.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't socialize your fucking kids. Keep them at home, homeschool and shit. Ugh, you got to send them out into the world, no matter how much they may gut public education, boys. You still got to let your kids play with other kids, or else they're going to be fucking weird like Broly.
But something else I want to say to Hayden, sorry. But you got to think, you were talking about power creeps from like Gohan, but you got to think Broly's form, Super Saiyan's about to low keep it. Just the regular Super Saiyan form is about to pit him on the same level as almost all of them.
I know. Well, isn't it? I don't disagree with that. Like 100%. Broly. I think I even said it in the Broly movie was it's stupid how strong Broly is. Like honestly, because he just showed up one day, boom, he's strong. That was his whole thing. Gohan has been gone through the entire series, and
So who was right? Was Vegeta dad right, or was Paragus right?
They could both be right in this case. Paragus was right to like obviously want to save his kid and be like, hey, this kid could be a huge asset for us as a culture. And King Vegeta was right to be piss fucking scared of it, because if that kid turned out anything less than nice, he knew that he could just take over the entire fucking thing. Yeah, two people can be right at the same time. I think, as you guys were just saying, that the idea of him having a perfected Super Saiyan and he's like all of a sudden on par with like a Gohan or a Goku, whatever. You know what they did used to call him, right?
The legendary Super Saiyan.
The legendary Super Saiyan. Yeah. Maybe he just sticks to straight up Super Saiyan forms. He doesn't have an Ultra Instinct. He doesn't get an Ultra Ego. He goes as far as like Super Saiyan 3, but for whatever reason, he is the most ridiculously OP Super Saiyan that they've ever seen. And he's on par with the strength of gods because he is the legendary guy. Like maybe that'd be fun. I don't think they're thinking about it that hard, but that'd be fun.
I mean, that'd be cool. It would show that, the Super Saiyan form within itself is superior to go that route. Because I always thought it'd be cool if they went to other universes, because, they're supposed to be like stronger and everything. If their Saiyans only stuck with the Super Saiyan form, that would be fucking cool to me.
I mean, Universe 6, those guys are just figuring out Super Saiyan, right?
Yeah, they not like even at the same power. I'm talking about like
we don't talk about Universe 6, do we?
Yeah, they barely even came back. You know what I mean?
Can't wait for them to come back.
Speaking of big groups of Saiyans, one of my favorite parts and most frustrating parts of this chapter to me was the Super Saiyan Battle Royale, which lasted all for page and a half. Like one big splash-ish page with some funny dialogue about, hey, Gohan, what the hell? Why are you kicking me? And then the next page you flip it and they're all just passed out on the ground. How fucking fun is that episode going to be when they finally animate that battle? They can do all the drawn-out killer shit in the world they want to do. But it'd be even funnier if they just stick to the manga and they're like, yeah, let's go. And then it's like a big cloud of dust and you just see like a bunch of hands and fists and
the Looney Tunes fights.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fucking Looney Tunes fight for like 5 seconds and then swipe cut. Everyone's just passed out. They did the exact same thing in the anime that they did on the page.
I mean, I could feel like, you want to show them just having, because that's just a fun moment right there. They were just having Vegeta wanting to come up there and fight Gohan because everybody else fighting them. He basically like, let me get up there. Then you got
When's it gonna be my turn?
then you got the kids. I'm not saying if the only thing that could have made this chapter better if they would have let them finally do the fusion right there. If they would have perfected the fusion, if they would have did the fusion right there, this is ending chapter. This would have been an ending chapter. I would have been like, it's over. Everybody would have got exactly what they wanted, but I guess they were like, that's a little too much. But that would have been the only time in the whole Super they've done it.
Missed opportunity to have some kind of resolve to Goten and Trunks in this thing, but I don't know. Saiyan Battle Royale was a fucking dick tease, man. And it was funny though. It was fun. It's again, so much of Dragon Ball, sometimes so much of comedy is just subverting expectations. And when you have this big fucking cast of characters all together and like they're doing these cool one-on-one fights and you're like, yeah, this is fun. Oh my God, they're all gonna kick the shit out of each other. I can't wait to watch this. And then you just cut to them all passed out afterwards. Like, that's fucking funny, dude. That's wicked funny.
But then it's one of it's like we already knew what the final 3 was gonna be, but then I'm like, Broly is one of those characters where it's hard. It's hard to say if he would have made it into the final 3. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard.
Yeah, no, it's probably not there's a good chance he wouldn't have.
It's a good chance he can't, but it's a good chance he can. You know what I mean? It just
if he loses it.
Oh God, could you imagine that? Everybody's versus Broly.
No, I think Beerus would just take it.
He'd give him a karate chop to the back of the neck, yeah.
Or Whis would be like, it's done. Yeah, I'm not about to destroy the whole planet.
Live here, man. My bed's here. My stuff is here. I have a new fucking cook. He's the greatest cook in the universe. Perhaps you've heard of him. His name's Limo. Please do not ruin his food stocks that he's built up for us. I'm a hungry motherfucker. So, Saiyan Battle Royale, right? They finally go back to Earth. And this is where I suspect. I think even the Saiyan Battle Royale. I think Vegeta, they would have loved to see Vegeta versus Gohan, but it just developed into Saiyan Battle Royale. I think this is around the time, obviously it's all speculation, who the fuck knows anything. This is where dude had to take it over and make an adjustment on the fly to how this chapter was going to go. And he's like, all right, let's go back to Earth. Just abruptly. Oh, let's eat. Okay, everything's good. We're going to go back to Earth. We haven't been there in a while. My wife's going to lose interest or whatever. Fucking funny. They latch on to Piccolo's key. They transport back. And they kind of give him his props. Like, wow, you're a whole new guy. And that is
which only Goku always notices. Gotta give him props.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about if it's just him.
He noticed the Kamikalo and all of. He always be the one to be like, what the hell, Piccolo? What happened to you? Like he always able to notice that shit.
I love that you just invoked the name Kamikalo on the show. That's fucking great.
Hey, Kamikalo.
That's what he call him, Kamikalo.
Yeah, he says, "Hey, Kamikalo." Let's just stick for Piccolo.
But he kind of gets his props, at least, a little shout out. The Red Ribbon Army people run away to go start a quote unquote legitimate business, whatever the fuck that's going to take the shape of. That's the end of the Red Ribbon Army. They finally
get pharmacy business,
it's going to be a legit pharmaceutical business. That's the end of the Red Ribbon Army. They're scared straight by all the shit that they saw on Beerus's planet.
Which I would be too. I'd be like, we just teleported? Oh hell no! Nah.
Wait a minute,
hey, make technology on this.
And then they go to get Pan at school. No fucking time for sparring. We got to go pick up the baby.
Who Goku forgot.
That was actually what I was going to ask you was, how'd you guys feel about him seemingly forgetting?
I'm so disappointed.
I think it's within character to a little bit.
It is, but I want to say I think it was a filler thing in Super Anime where Goku was such a good grandfather to Pan, the whole outer space thing, and that's just a whole thing. Is I really would like the idea that Goku, like an okayish dad, but it was like a super great grandfather, like always just Vegeta is with his kids, but that's him with the grandkid. That's what I really hoped. And so I was like, this is Goku.
We forget that, don't he take Pan and train her for like 2 years or something? So it's still that moment that is still coming in there.
He does. And this is where what Raysean said to me yesterday had me go, holy shit, they just gave us an ending to Dragon Ball Super. They come back to Earth. They go to pick her up at school. Goku, obviously, I said it to you on the phone yesterday, right? Like, maybe, like, I don't think he forgot he had a granddaughter. I think he remembered that Gohan had a kid. I just think that maybe he's met Pan like a handful of times and he's been off world for most of the last 2 to 3 years. And like, now they mention her and he's like, wait, whose name is that? Like, I don't want to say who. I have family members who have babies and I'm not sure what the fuck their babies' names are. It's no like offense to them. Maybe I've met their baby a handful of times, but I'm not going to commit that shit to name or to memory if I'm not going to see them on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Like, it's just can be tough. And I think it was one of those moments.
Before you get this, I want to say this because we got to give props. Piccolo, best dad figure out here, basically turns down fighting Goku and looks at Gohan like, do you know what time it is? It's time to go pick up your fucking daughter. Like, oh, man. Got to give Piccolo his props, man.
Yeah, somebody's got to be responsible for these kids. They've turned Piccolo into full-on babysitter mode, like, and just leaned into it. Like, it was always a joke, but now they're like, they've embraced the joke. Super dope. Hey, what's up? This is editor Kyle from the future, whatever you want to call me. I'm sitting here editing this episode finally on April 8th. It's been a very long month. This was recorded, I don't even remember, like the beginning of March or the middle of March, whenever this last chapter came out. This has been out for at least 3 or 4 weeks on our Patreon page. If you don't support the show on Patreon, that's fine. I understand. But if you want to get the stuff as we record it, that's the place that you want to go. You can sign up for $5 a month and you get all this stuff. Literally, usually the night that we record it, it's posted on the Patreon. So those boys have had this episode as well as another episode I've referenced a couple of times in this episode about like general Dragon Ball news, the whole Dragon Ball theme park thing, and me bitching about people not understanding like indefinite hiatus and things like that. I chose to hold that episode. It might come out on this public feed at some point in the future. Not really sure when. Might not at all. It's been on the Patreon for 3 weeks though. My point is, I'm sorry that this feed has been tough to keep up with in terms of editing for me, but I just have 8 million projects happening, but we're still talking about Dragon Ball. Why did I put the break in here? I'll tell you, motherfucker. It's a joke. The Pan Goku thing is a joke. It's a joke that does not translate well to English, but in Japan, pan, the word pan is also a word, I guess that means bread. It's borrowed from a European word, like European dialects, like fucking French, maybe, I think. I don't know. But when Goku hears the word pan, he asks, like, why the fuck won't you fight me? Because you're going to go pick up bread? Are you serious? Totally went over my head, and I'd imagine at least 90% of English reader fans. But it's just like, you know, if you know what Gohan means in Japanese, it means like meal or lunch or dinner. There are times, same joke throughout the Dragon Ball series that have been made. Gohan, it's like, yeah, man, my son, not a meal. Also, I'm sorry, I keep saying it with these really Goku accents. I don't mean to be borderline racist toward the Japanese, but it's just how I hear it when I hear it in my brain. So I just wanted to pop in and say that real quick. Apologize, explain, encourage you to sign up for the Patreon. Also explain that joke. One other thing that came out after the fact, like long after we recorded this, that I wanted to make sure made its way onto this recording. We're about to discuss it coming up, sort of, but we kind of go right over it because we didn't know about it. And you've probably heard about this. I fucking cried about it on Instagram for like 3 days once I learned this. So Toritaro gave the full like panel outline to Toriyama and gets to this last scene where they pick up Pan at school and Goku and Pan, you know, ready, set, race, and they fly off, right? Very cool. We talk about that a lot coming up. But there's this one panel where I was like, hell yeah, that's the most Piccolo shit to do. I didn't even think twice about it. Where Piccolo turns around and waves goodbye to Pan's teacher. I believe her name is Janet. And like, I didn't think much of it because, you know, he's a kind of polite dude these days. 8 foot tall green guy coming to pick up a 3-year-old girl. Obviously, he goes out of his way to seem respectful and nice to the kindergarten teacher. Why wouldn't he say, bye? And that turns out it was a correction. It was a Toriyama correction. Originally in the outline that Toyotaro presented, Piccolo just kind of joins them. You know, he's the last one to leave the ground and fly with them, but just kind of tags along. But the correction Toriyama drew was him turning and waving goodbye to the camera and flying off into the fucking sunset. Knowing that it came from Piccolo, Toriyama is probably his favorite character. He's talked about it being his favorite character before, but he's also said Goku's his favorite too, but we'll say Piccolo is. Knowing that he made that correction and that was like his last final little contribution to Dragon Ball. I say little. Well, it wasn't little at all. It was a gut wrencher, man. My fucking heart hurt when I heard that shit. I'm still struggling a little bit with the Toriyama stuff. I'm getting better. I'm not fucking like having those moments anymore where I just remember suddenly. I had that happen for the better part of a month. And actually today's the 8th. It was 1 month ago today that we learned the news. It still kind of stings every once in a while. But I just wanted to pop in, explain that stuff, kind of give you guys a little bit of an apology / half advertisement for the Patreon. Thanks to the current patrons, Mo, Roberto, Dallas, Tyson, Marcus Woods. Special congratulations to my friend, longtime listener of the show, Marcus Woods. He and his wife are going to be welcoming their first little baby. Another super dope baby. Love you, Marcus. Also, thank you to David, Levi, Hornsby, or we just call him Levicious, Reese Andriotis, Brandon Paxosa. Welcome back to the Patreon, man. I didn't even realize you snuck back in here. Maybe I did. I forget shit. And last but not least, certainly not least, Lil Baby Jiren Dan Rivera, a.k.a. the mayor of Central Falls' cousin. If you want to join the Patreon, there is a link in the show notes. There's tons of free content over there. There's probably at least a dozen or two things. Extra podcasts about original Dragon Ball, Death Note, My Hero Academia. I hate having to fucking push this shit on you guys. The real ones know the value that's there. If you don't, and you've been missing this show on a weekly basis, go check that shit out. You can hear me say all sorts of stupid shit. Podcasts going back 6 to 7 years where we used to get really fucking drunk as opposed to just kind of drunk now and in person with other people as opposed to on the internet. All right, this has gone on too long. I appreciate you listening, and here's the rest of the conversation. Super dope. So Pan sees Goku and she wants to show Goku how strong she's gotten because she didn't forget her fucking grandpa. She wants to show Goku how strong she's gotten since she last saw him. So she gets on her serious face. She teleports behind him and tries to kick him in the side of the head.
No, it's because he was looking aloof, like he didn't know who she was.
I don't think it was like that.
I feel like that's exactly what it was. And then she just like went over there because he was like in the background, and then she like looked at him, and then she like jumped right over there to his ass, and then he like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think he felt awkward because he doesn't know how to deal with kid situations, never mind normal real life situations like picking up a fucking kid at school, and he's just kind of hanging out in the background like, oh yeah, I kind of have to go. She's like, yo, that's my grandpa. I'm going to show him something. Honestly, that's how I read it.
I guess we get different interpretations.
Again, the ambiguity between some of the stuff when it's just visuals. Also, there's a 6-fingered Gohan in this chapter. Did you guys catch that?
No, I didn't see that.
No, there's a 6-fingered Gohan in this chapter. He throws up his fucking index finger. Then you see his 5 other fingers.
I see it now. I see it now.
6-fingered Gohan, the 6-fingered man. That's how I took it. The ambiguity of it is kind of fun.
How did you see it, Hayden? I want to see.
The whole time here's how I saw it as I'm looking at it right now is pick it up. She looks over. There's a dude. Hey, Dad, who's that? Oh, that's your grandpa Goku. Hey. And I saw a thing. I don't know who it was, but I saw a thing, but it was her. Like, I don't believe that's him. And that's why she kicks. Whenever she kicks, he stops it. Yeah, only my grandpa could do something like that. Only because my family is that strong.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like that's kind of...
So you going in the fact that she forgot who he was, too?
I don't believe it's him, because there have been some times that family members I haven't seen in 20-ish years, and it's like, I don't think you're a family member. Name something stupid from our family. Name it. Okay, your family. That's what I imagine That's how I imagine that would be. Is you're not my grandpa. Oh shit, you're my grandpa.
So I was fine with it. And it was a nice heartwarming moment. And then they fly away, which didn't hit me at the time until you said what you said yesterday, Ray. So if I have to accept this as an end to this show, or this manga, I should say, which again, we don't think is the case. We do think this is an indefinite hiatus. We talked about it yesterday. That indefinite hiatus is not up in the month of May. If you heard that from some fucking punk idiot on the internet, I'm sorry, but they did what they did because they think they're really smart, but they're not. Anyway, if I did have to accept this as an end to Dragon Ball Super, I'm really satisfied with that ending, given the circumstances, given the inability to paint them or resolve with things like Broly, Whis, Beerus, whatever's happening there, Black Frieza. I'm okay with it because the circumstances suck ass. But ultimately, what is Dragon Ball Super supposed to be? It's that time period before the last 4 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. And if you consider where the chapter was in February, and then where he just brought it to at the end of March following Toriyama's death, and knowing that the assignment is this bridges the gap in this span of Dragon Ball, it lines up so well in terms of the time frame, how much time has been on Earth, how old Pan is, the relationship between Goku Pan, those dynamics that we see in those last few chapters. That's what it starts as, and then she's happy to have her grandfather back in her life, and he sticks on Earth for a while and trains her for a couple of years, and they go to the Tenkaichi Budokai. The fact that they fly off together, it gets back to the thing that I loved most about Pan in the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie is so much of her arc is around her inability to fly. And I just watched a couple hours ago, I watched the first 20-ish minutes of Dragon Ball Z episode 289. So that's the one where it's like 10 years have passed. Goku and Goten are out training in the fucking backyard, and Goku and Vegeta and Bulma come to visit. And like Pan drops down. She's like, Grandpa, I just finished flying around the world. Oh, wow, that was really fast. And like that flying bit is somehow worked into the middle of that. Like this chapter where they fly away. It's a smart. I felt like it was done by somebody who had a lot of care for it and really thought about it and had to, obviously because he's the dude who makes it, but like given the circumstances, the impossible task he had to try to pull off, fucking hand claps, kudos to Toyotaro for doing what he did in this chapter. That was truly fucking amazing in my opinion.
Finger snaps. That's the one thing I can't do. I'm ashamed of.
So that's how I feel about Dragon Ball Super as an ending. If this was the end, which again, we don't think it is because dude's been in the ground for less than 3 weeks and they just announced a fucking theme park in Saudi Arabia. So obviously nothing is sacred in terms of their ability to mine further money out of this property. They will do it. It will come back. But if you had to accept it as an end to Dragon Ball Super, holy shit, what if it is the end of Dragon Ball Super? And when they come back, it's no longer Dragon Ball Super. It's like Dragon Ball Ultra Duper, Super Duper.
That'd be cool. Give Totoro his own thing.
That would be smart, I think, if they did it like that. And then that would finally allow them to move beyond the end of Z, which is what we've been asking them to do for forever.
And you get your new cast of characters, too.
Yeah.
To use. So, I mean, that'd be pretty cool to give him, see what he can do with it. But that would be taking your own undertaking right there. So, if you really want
let's hold that thought. All right, let's just talk about 103 as a potential ending of Dragon Ball Super chapters right now. Yay, nay? Do you like it? We'll start with you, Ray.
I mean, if they just decide to stop making chapters, I mean, I can understand. They low key gave us some nice things in it. It kind of gives you that heartwarming feel at the end where it's like, no Dragon Ball Z adventure is never really ever end. The story can always continue. So it gives you that feel like, yeah, the story could always continue. But it also, this just where this Super stops. So either Super stops here, they do something later, or they're really taking this time and trying to figure out what to do next in terms. Because, I mean, I guess his death was probably like out of nowhere. They probably didn't really like damn. He probably, if he did leave notes or didn't leave notes, it's like we can't implement them like next month. Because I mean, even a lot of creators from different mangas are even taking breaks following his death. Like they're not even pitting out their mangas.
Ichiro Oda just announced he's going to take 3-4 weeks off from One Piece just to like check in with his doctors and like assess that he's healthy. Yeah.
So I mean,
good for him. That's more people. I wish more people had the ability to do that.
Yeah, because I mean, he is the creator of One Piece, and they'll wait.
It's like all the time you need, Mr. Oda. Hayden, if we say that this is the end of Dragon Ball Super as a manga, what do you think, man? You satisfied with that ending?
I'd be down with it, honestly. It sets off the whole new thing, whatever next adventure is, just to be left in the imagination, honestly.
It could be that. If they never make another Dragon Ball chapter again, I'll be sad.
I'd be disappointed in the long run, honestly. But I feel like this is a good little spot for it in itself. Because it has that little, I think we talked about it on your show or my show, I can't remember which, but we talked about like these last few panels just have a like montage of the ending of a series, and that's what this really feels like. And it just rereading it again, it hits like an end of a series kind of thing.
Yeah, and given the I mean, I said this, I think we talked about it last night, Hayden. If not, I definitely meant to bring it up, but I'll mention it because of Raysean not having been part of that conversation. I think that it's kind of interesting to think about how Toriyama chose to spend 2023, because I was yelling all year, why are we doing this superhero retelling in the manga? And I guess dude was aware that he had a brain tumor, and he thought that they were going to be able to operate and he'd still be able to live. But I'm sure somewhere in his heart, he probably knew, or, thought to himself, I don't have all the time in the world left. I want to do other things that interest me or whatever. I could die tomorrow. And he chose to spend 23 making the Sandland anime and the video game, and basically take the year off from Dragon Ball. So knowing now that he knew he had a brain tumor and chose to go do that, it makes me feel a lot differently about all my bitching that I did last year about, why'd you fucking take this shit off for a Sandland? What are you talking about, Sandland? What are you doing? Makes you feel real different, right? It makes me think like Sandland must have been a really important thing for him to want to do, to knowingly, potentially at least, be spending his last years working on that instead of working on Dragon Ball. That said, when he started making new chapters again a few months ago with Toyotaro, it does kind of feel like he went out of his way a little bit to kind of give people, fans, and the characters, some semblance of resolve, or I don't want to say an ending. It's definitely not the end for these characters. Even if we never see any new publication with them ever again, which I'm sure we will, but even if we never did, we know that they're going to go on to have other adventures, and that's how you thought about the end of Dragon Ball GT back in the day. Goku flew off with the dragon to go fucking train or die, depending on your interpretation, and you knew that Goku or Pan and Oob and Vegeta all continue to have adventures on Earth, whatever. That still is very much the case here, but it still did feel like Toriyama was like, all right, how do we make Gohan fans happy? How do we cement Goku and Vegeta's eternal fucking best bro rivalry? How do we give Broly his fucking proper place in the canon? How do we wrap it up toward the end of Z? Because that's where this is supposed to go. That's where we're supposed to meet. I don't know. It's just so fucking weird to think about that. He knew he had this brain tumor and knew that he was going to die, probably, or at least had the possibility. And even if he didn't really communicate that to a guy like Toyotaro did a really fucking nice job stepping in and stepping up to give it the resolve and the wrap up that I felt like it deserved. So it was all very rambly. I'm fine with it as a ending to Dragon Ball Super if that is it. Now, I do think what I said a moment ago is not something that I thought about prior to saying it. What if this is the end of Dragon Ball Super and in, I don't know, September, say they take, 4, 5, 6 months off. I hope not, but September, Dragon Ball AF Ultra or some shit. That's obviously
Epsilon.
Just don't say that word. But I know what that is, but I don't think that'll be it.
See, my thing is, I feel like they have to drop the Super anime, then you can try to do another manga series.
You think so?
I don't think you can just jump into another manga series. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I feel like they can continue on the Super,
Yeah,
but to just be like,
it probably
we're
will.
ending Super and then we're going Dragon Ball Ultra. I feel like you need something to kind of bridge it.
Dragon Ball Super Z.
If they were to try to make a new series out of a manga, I guess in terms of timing, what you'd want to do from like a interest perspective, you really want Dragon Ball to rule the fucking world in 2025. You have Daima drop at the end of this year. Daima does its run. You announce that after Daima wraps, Dragon Ball Super Part 2 or Season 2, however you want to phrase it, we get the moral arc, the granola arc, all that stuff animated. And then that runs for a couple months, and it's like, guess what, guys? We have all new Dragon Ball stories and Dragon Ball blah, blah, blah by Toyotaro, inspired by the writings of Akira Toriyama. And that's a new manga series. Now they have a new anime. They have 2 new animes out, technically, because Daima. You have a new manga, and then you have a new fucking video game that's going to rule fighting games for, presumably, if it's good, for a few years, and Sparking Zero. And then you have a motherfucking Dragon Ball theme park open up. Like, they're going to make so much more money off this, and I hope that it remains. It'll always be fun, I feel, but I hope it remains faithful to Dude's vision for the franchise too. Which I'm not sure if I have a super clear cut vision on sometimes, but I feel like when you compare a thing that they're going to try to give us in the future to what Toriyama gave us historically in Dragon Ball, there's going to be a lot of conversations. Like, is this like faithful or respectful of taking into consideration Toriyama's original vision and concepts for Dragon Ball? I bet you that's a conversation we have a lot going on from here.
I mean, yes, but also you got to remember Dragon Ball has an ending. Toriyama did make an ending for Dragon Ball Z. So he does have, his creation has an ending. So anything other than that is work inspired by. So
good point.
It's not like his true creation, but it's just really just giving us more Dragon Ball Z stories. And I just will find it interesting the route he would go with it, because I would think it'd be cool for him to really make Goku, Vegeta background characters and give us a whole new lead of characters and basically try to do his own story. Not do his own story, like keep up with the story of Dragon Ball, but like use those characters instead. Or something else I was thinking about, because we keep saying like end of like the manga. This could be just a end of arc chapter too. You know, the next arc could come in and you have but I think the next arc has to start off with either a point of view from like the villain perspective of like what's going on. I don't think we can start off with Goku and Vegeta.
I feel like you have to. I feel like if you were to start from, because we've talked about this before, like what's Frieza up to? Why don't we follow Frieza for a chapter or two? Mm-hmm. If Toyotaro's first chapter back by himself as a Frieza chapter, everyone will be like, "What the fuck's this guy doing? We put this guy in charge. Are we sure this is weird?" Or it could be different and like really well received. But I feel like it would probably go the other way.
No, I feel like a nice. If he comes back with a Frieza chapter, it would be. I think it would be cool, because I feel like you have to come in with like a different perspective, especially if you're coming back from a long hiatus and you're like trying to come into a new fighting thing. Like, what's the next conflict? You know what I mean? We have had Galactic prisoners coming out of nowhere and all this other lore y'all giving us in right now, but like, what's the next thing? You can have Black Frieza about to challenge Beerus. I always think that would be a really nice arc to go about. But, you know, who knows? Because we could get a whole new manga series, which would be cool too. Because I mean, if I was tutorial, I probably want to go that route too. More of that route than like, now I have to really try to stay on Toriyama's foot like handprint. Because if you are continuing on his manga, you really gotta be like, is this faithful or is this not faithful? Like, oh man.
Godspeed, my neighbor Totaro. Hayden, if you what are your final thoughts on this chapter? Is this a satisfying ending for Dragon Ball Super potentially, or what?
Absolutely. I feel like this is a perfect ending for Dragon Ball. Like I said, it leaves the next adventure imaginable to what is going to happen next. There is the ultimate loose end of Frieza, and I think I talked about it yesterday before about a one final thing as a send off, it's hit or miss, is one last movie put every bottom dollar they got into it as a final end to Dragon Ball. Like in its entirety, Frieza goes out, cuts to, like as where they end the actual adventure, take care of Frieza, see everybody a few years later and all their stuff. But if we don't have that, this manga chapter I think is pretty honestly a really good ending.
If you tell me chapter 103 takes place immediately before Dragon Ball Z episode 289 or a few months before Dragon Ball episode 289, I believe is the number. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. That works out perfectly for me. And Dragon Ball Super fits in as crazy as it is, all the power ups, all the new characters that we never hear about or talk about in those last 4 episodes of Z. In terms of what the mission was or what the assignment was, fill in that space. Mission accomplished. And I can't wait to see what happens next. You guys, that's pretty much a show, but do you guys have any guesses if you guys want to take bets right now? And bets meaning like we just throw out how long we think the break is going to be. How long do you think the break is going to be, Ray?
That in March. Diamond comes out with like December.
Diamond comes out in October.
Probably December.
You think they're going to wait for Diamond to come on before the manga comes back? Okay. Hayden, what's your pick?
Probably about a year.
Okay. I think, and like, if it is a year, it lines up with that thing that I just pitched about 2025 being the year of fucking Dragon Ball.
Because I was thinking of, what was his name? Berserks.
I forget his name. I'm terrible, but he passed away as well.
But yeah, he passed away, and there was like a 10-month hiatus for that. And I'm imagining something like, because he passed on, and I could be wrong. You know more stuff. Didn't earlier last year, they talked about Toriyama passing on the torch for Toyotaro?
I mean, the whole idea since they brought the manga back was to have him take it over. Yeah,
I feel, but I just something I remember reading that talked about it as like this is like officially who he's passing the torch to. I thought about it.
Yeah, no, when they first hired him to animate the manga when it came back, 2015, 2016, that was, I guess, 2016, I think. That was the idea. Yeah, was to have somebody take over take the mantle. And, you know, Toyotaro does all my neighbor Tototaro does all of the heavy lifting in terms of drawing and like dialogue and stuff like that. But I guess the notes and plot beats and stuff from Toriyama. But
I feel like he had more control of this arc, but that's probably more because Toriyama was doing Sandland. But it did seem like he gave him way more leeway with this
in the last few months. Yeah, I mean, the year before that, while he's doing Sandland, he's like, hey, remember that movie we put out last year? Yeah, go adapt that. See you in a year. See you in 12 months. Like, there wasn't much for Toritaro to like, he took his liberties to like tie some things a little bit closer together and like make things a little bit more cohesive. Plus also the Saiyaman X1 X2 shit, fun. I don't know, I'm thinking, I hope it's back for September. It's going to be, I hope, I would, it could even be sooner. I know everyone was really hoping it was the 1 month hiatus, but that is so not the case.
I mean, it could be low key. You never know.
It could be 2 months. I mean, if it came back in June, that'd be cool, but I guess we just have to wait and see. Really, nobody has any idea. I have to figure out what the hell I'm going to be doing with this show now. Cause like I'm working through a fucking depression that I don't even want to get into the details on, but also manga has been like the one reliable thing that we've talked about month to month. And, I've been threatening to do some GT stuff, which I think I want to do still. But also, if I'm going to do GT, why am I going to do GT? Originally, the idea was it was tied to Daima because Daima's GT 2.0. I was going to do all that shit. But I really don't know what to do now. So we'll see.
Dragon Ball game review.
No.
Because you talked about you're playing the Budokai games, but which one? Budokai Tenkaichi. Which one was it?
3? Yeah, I'm playing Budokai 3, not Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but Budokai 3.
Like, do something.
Also,
I mean, Toriyama had other works you can talk about.
I do want to do Sandland. I would love to watch Sandland. I would like to watch Dr. Slump, but not to podcast on it and just to fucking get high and laugh at it. Dr. Slump, the bits and pieces I've seen of it just seems so fucking funny, man, and sad I never watched it. I mean, we did a lot of OG Dragon Ball on the Patreon stuff, like the first 20-ish episodes, 15, 20-ish episodes. So I don't want to do that stuff again or try to do Dragon Ball linearly is such a stupid fucking fool's errand that so many people out there have set out to do, and I'm just
I
like,
have
why?
to start watching other anime.
No, we've done that shit on this show before too. I like how you smile with that shitting grin as you say, you didn't have to watch another anime. We did that shit when
I'm
Super
just saying
Rap.
you might have to start like being more like.
I heard what you said, but we tried that, and I was not what it was. It wasn't fun. It wasn't good, and I'll tell you why it wasn't good, because I didn't give a fuck. If I
We
don't
should
give
look
a
at
fuck
it from a Dragon Ball Z perspective, like, you know.
Yeah, every single anime that I watched, let me just compare notes with Dragon Ball Z. Oh, Goku could probably kick this protagonist ass, huh, guys? Yeah, Dragon Ball Super dope. Tune in again next week. Bro, if you're not passionate about the things that you're doing and you're just doing them because you think that maybe more people will find you or you'll get clicks about it, that's a recipe for fucking shitty ass content. I'm not making shit I don't want to talk about. End of fucking story. End of story.
Okay.
What
All right.
if, hear me out.
No.
Thank you. It is you go back because it sticks with the manga because it's been a hot minute. I don't know if you go reread the manga from beginning to end or every once in a while. What if you do?
Who told
manga?
you I know how to read?
You did. You read the manga. We read through this. But what if you did a manga like arc, like retrospective, like look back on it from beginning, how it began to how it's ended at this point? Like I know, like you go through the whole arc as like it's Tournament of Power. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Good and dandy, wonderful. But now that we're at so much further in, like hints, let's say what got hinted here, just like retrospective of Battle of Gods
coming out. It's more Dragon Ball content coming.
I know, but Daima's what, 5.5 months away, probably longer than that. 6 months.
Do your GT content.
You got that.
We'll do some of it, but I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. The first 2 episodes of GT, I can get down on those. Like, have a blast. Episodes 3 and 4, I already want to quit doing GT watch throughs because they're fucking awful. Anybody who tells you that Dragon Ball GT is better than Dragon Ball Super is either lying to you or a fucking idiot. Dragon Ball GT is objectively some of the absolute worst bottom of the barrel Dragon Ball that there has ever been. And I count that among things like Dragon Ball Evolution. Shockingly. Anybody who tells you that GT is better than Super, are GT's highs better than Super's highs? I'd say that they're comparable. I'd say GT might have them beat in some respects. But GT's lows are fucking infinitely worse than Super's fucking lows. I don't care. You throw every shitty bad animation frame from episode 4 or whatever of Super Saiyan 3 Goku, throw every one of those you want at me. That shit is still better than the worst fucking Dragon Ball GT episode. All right.
They air it in America, they skipped it like a whole bunch of episodes, like 4 to 20 or something.
Yes, it is so terrible. They aired the first 2 episodes and then they took episodes 3 through, I believe, 17 and put them into like an episode and a half. And then when they put them out on DVD, they called them Dragon Ball GT, the lost episodes. You know why they were lost? Because they were fucking awful. They're fucking so bad. They're so fucking bad. Doesn't matter what language you watch them in, even the Japanese. It's fucking terrible. I don't know. We'll still do some GT stuff. All right. That's it for the show. Raysean, what's going on in your world with RGAT, man?
We got some interesting stuff coming out, guys. I hope you guys are been waiting for some new episodes to come out. I know we've been doing the Dragon Ball marathon for a while, but I got some voice actors I've been getting on the podcast. I literally just had the original Janemba, the fat version of him, on the podcast. Yeah. So that's coming out shortly. I've had another guy from a recent isekai come on and we talked about some stuff. So I feel like you guys are going to be in for a treat. So
hell yeah. Out. Go subscribe to RGAP wherever you get your podcast. There's links in the show notes for it. Hayden, what's going on in Games and Gamers?
Man, that's not as cool as Raysean. I'm just playing video games.
Damn, yeah, definitely not as cool as what Raysean's got going on, bro. You better step your shit up.
I know. I got a special guest coming on my show in 48 hours.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Wait, am I on your show in 2 days?
Yeah, but no, I put that episode out on Monday.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, guys, go listen to my special guest.
We did shut up, you. We did a deep dive with your buddy Danger on all of the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero news that came out last Wednesday, the 2 trailers. expectations for the game, ideas for the game. And I'll say it again. I said it when we talked yesterday, but your buddy, who I will only refer to or only am able to refer to as Danger because he refuses to share his first name with me. Hey, by the way, not a dangerous guy. Actually, kind of small, kind of sweet, colored pictures the whole time we talked. He pitched the absolute best fucking game idea mode or game mode idea for Sparking Zero. I was like, bro, if they don't have that mode in there now, I'm going to hate the game because that sounds like so much fun. So if you're curious to learn more about that mode, go check out Games and Gamers, and all that stuff is in the show notes.
Yeah.
If this is your first time listening to Dragon Ball Super Dope, thank you. Sorry I'm such a bitch today and that I'm so tired. I ate a lot of meat today. So I'm very fat and very full and very sleepy, but thanks to my friends for picking up the slack. And rate and subscribe wherever you get the show. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. I don't think Stitcher's a thing. YouTube. Leave a like on the video. Maybe leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Are you satisfied with this about the as the potential end of Dragon Ball Super, even though it is on an indefinite hiatus? Let us know down there, and we will talk with you next time. Super dope. Is this the end? I don't think it is.
Peace.
Mainly because they got to continue to desecrate Toriyama's fucking dead body some more. Why don't you go build him a motherfucking theme park in Saudi Arabia? Oh, wait, you're already going to do that. Every time I mention that it's in Saudi Arabia, I feel like people are like, wow, Kyle's racist against the Saudis, huh? I'm not. I'm just confused as to why there. All right. That's the only thing.
It's a random spot. It's 100% a random
go
spot.
Listen to that episode. All right.
They would have been
What?
No.
That was if they wanted to pay tribute. I found that as a cool thing. Like they wanted to pay tribute to his work, so they made an amusement park. To me, it's kind of a random idea, but you know,
Saudi Arabian government is desperate for tourism attractions. All right.